Chris, you want to talk a little bit more about how you address this area?
Sure. Thank you. And it's been fascinating to hear everyone, and we're all very similar, and we all do things the same but different, and that kind of thing. And we have our book. It's the On the Bus Sales Training Workbook, and twice a year we review Chapter 11 on page 117, and we do this in December and June. So for me and our groups, we like to plan for next year in December, so we don't lose January. Some groups like to do it the middle of January. Well, then we've lost January, you know? So if we're gonna plan for next year, let's do it the month before. So that's how we do it. And it starts with a vision. So whenever I sit down with a new client, we have a little meditation together and we go out to their exit. So depending on their age, it could be 5 years, it could be 20 years, but we wanna know where they wanna exit and what they want the business to look like then, so we can work backwards. But if we're gonna look at the next year, let's say, for example, like many have said, we need a SMART goal, right? And it's interesting how we're all changing the acronym a little bit. So for me, it's strategic, measurable, attainable, realistic, and trackable. And the trackable part's important. And what I do with our members is we have a bus pass every month. So prior to coming to our monthly meeting, I'll sit down with them one-to-one and we'll go over their bus pass. And what we're looking at there are behavioral goals. So I'm not a big believer in KPIs. I think KPIs is an accounting term for what just happened. And it's a reporting system. It's a report card of sorts. But their behavioral goals are something different. That's something in our control, in our power, something we can do, right? It's an action that we can make time for or not, depending on our motivation. But we need to look at the spread, where I think Bertha referred to it as the gap. So let's say you did $750,000 last year in revenue, and you want to be at $1 million next year. The gap, or the spread, is $250,000. If you're in a business where your business repeats, if you're starting every year at $0, that's a different way of doing this. But let's look at that scenario where we've got a $250,000 spread. So the first thing we want to know is, what's your average ticket? How much is your average ticket? Let's use round numbers and say it's $10,000. So if we want $250,000 and we've got $10,000, that tells us we need 25 orders, right? So then we got to look at your kill ratio. So when you meet with a client, how often do you close them? Is it 50% of the time? Is it 1 out of 10? What is that number? So then we know how many quotes we need in the 12 months or per month. We can break it down to monthly. So if I've kind of lost my train of thought here, but if we wanted 10 new clients and we have a 50% kill ratio, we need 20 quotes, right? So what do we need to do to get 20 quotes? And that's the fun part. Is it networking? And do you have a networking goal? Who here has a networking goal? I know I do. This is networking. I know Danelle does because I coach her. So my networking goal whenever I go to an event is to schedule 2 one-to-ones. And my goal at those one-to-ones is to ask for a referral, is to paint a picture in a well enough way where somebody knows what I do, where I can say, do you know anyone who could benefit from this? And if I can do those things, I'll probably hit my number next year. And my number, I'd like 13 new clients this year. That's it. No more, hopefully no less, but that's my goal. And I've structured this for me and for my clients. But the key thing to the whole thing is the accountability. That I need to go through this once a month, have somebody hold me accountable, nudge me a little bit if I'm not doing enough, talk to me if I'm doing too much of one, and it works best by community. And that's why we do it at our bus meetings. And they share their numbers, and we can see when somebody says, yeah, my things are a little off. We don't have the opportunities we used to have. We can go back and look at 3 months ago, they weren't networking. And that's why. So anyway, it's the behaviors, it's in our control. And that's the important part for me. So I don't want to take too much time, but thank you.
No, that's great, Chris. And that's what I love. I love you have the soft side, but you have the hard numbers. As the accountant, I love the hard numbers.